Good morning, class 4. Today I will explain you a new chapter, that is English Literature, Chapter 7, Lucy Looks into a Wardrobe. So all of you go to page number 97. In this story we will read about a wardrobe and a little girl named Lucy and how the wardrobe leads to a magical place. Lucy is a little girl who discovers a strange looking wardrobe in a house with many rooms. Now let us read unto the rest of the chapter in order to find out what happened next. Now Lucy went into a room in a house where the house is not a sort of house that you have seen regularly, or it is a house that never comes to end of it. It was full of unexpected places. The house was quite large and therefore there were lots of room in it, and Lucy was exploring the house and going to each and every room in order to find out in order to explore the house more. The first few doors they tried led only into spare bedrooms. Now here they means Lucy and her elder brother and sister. There were 3 or 4 of them who went into the house. As everyone had expected that they would, but soon they came to a very long room full of pictures, and there they found a suit of armor. And after that was a room all hung with green, with a harp in one corner, and then came 3 steps down and 5 steps up, and then a kind of little upstairs hall and a door that led out onto a balcony. Now when the little girl Lucy and her brother and sisters were exploring all the rooms, they found, whenever they opened the door, they found out some empty rooms. A spare bedroom, an empty room which had nothing into it. But soon they find out a room that was quite long enough. There were lots of pictures in it, and a suit of armor was also present over there. After that, they were into a room that was all hung with green with a harp. A harp is a large musical instrument, like it is in a shape of harp is a musical, it is like a stringy musical instrument like guitar or sitar, but the shape is different. It is a flat shaped instrument which is called harp. It was hung in one of the corner, and then they came up the 3 steps down and then 5 steps up, and then a kind of little upstairs hall and a door that led out onto a balcony. Then they found out a door which led on to a balcony, and then the whole series of rooms that led into each other and were lined with books. Then there was a whole series of rooms one after another, and it was all lined up with books. There were lots and lots of books into those rooms, inside those rooms. Most of them were very old books. And shortly after that, they looked into a room that was quite empty except for one big wardrobe. After going through all these rooms with books, some were empty, some had those greens hung up all around, some with the harp hanging on the wall. But after exploring or going through all this room, they finally came to a room that was quite empty, except there was only one big wardrobe in that room. The sort that has a looking glass in the door. Now, in earlier days, I hope all of you have seen the wooden almirahs were there, wardrobe kind of. It was the thing that we call almari. It is actually called almirah in English, and it is a wardrobe which had a looking glass on top of it. A mirror, big long mirror, was attached to the door of the wardrobe. There was nothing else in the room, and the rest of the room was totally empty at all except the dead blue bottle on the windowsill. Now, nothing there, said Peter. Peter is Lucy's elder brother. Nothing there, said Peter, and they all trooped out again. All except Lucy. Now, Peter said that there is nothing in this room except that wardrobe, and they all came out from that room. But Lucy did not come out. She stays behind because she thought it would be worthwhile trying the door of the wardrobe. Now, Lucy thought Lucy is a little girl. She is a bit curious than her elder brother and sister. So, she stayed behind and she thought that it must be something inside that wardrobe. So, she wanted to explore it. Even though she felt almost sure that it would be locked. To her surprise, it opened quite easily and two mothballs dropped out. Lucy was quite sure that the almirah or the wardrobe must be locked from outside. But to her surprise, the wardrobe easily opened. That means it was not locked from outside. And when she opened the door of the wardrobe, two mothballs, yeah, that means naphthalene ball that we put inside the wardrobe or almirah in order to protect our clothes from insects. It is called mothballs. So two mothballs dropped out from the almirah or wardrobe. Looking into the inside, she saw several coats hanging up, mostly long fur coats. Now, as you can see in the picture in the previous page, it is all snowy all around. It is snowy. It is the trees are covered with snow. Even the snow is falling. The ground is covered with snow. So that area wherever Lucy is, it is a cold area which had lots of snowfall. So the temperature must be very cold over there. So inside the wardrobe, Lucy found several coats hanging up. Most of the coats were of long fur coats. Lucy liked so much as the smell and feel of fur. Lucy did not like the smell and feel of fur that much. She immediately stepped into the wardrobe and got in among the coats and rubbed her face against them, leaving the door open, of course, because she knew that it is very foolish to shut oneself into any wardrobe. Now, Lucy, when she entered the wardrobe, because the wardrobe was huge, when Lucy entered the wardrobe, she left the door of the wardrobe open, because she knew it will be very foolish of her to close the door from inside when she has already entered the wardrobe. So it will be foolish for her to do so. So smartly she left the door open. And she kept on getting inside, rubbing her face against the furry coats. Of coats hanging up behind the first one. Now, when she was slowly moving inside, she found that there is another row of coats that was hanging inside. Now, one row of coats was hung before. Then she crossed that row, and again she found out that there are coats are hanging inside. It was almost quite dark in there, and she kept her arms stretched out in front of her so as not to bump her face into the back of the wardrobe. When Lucy was getting inside and inside more into the wardrobe, she stretched her hand in front of her so that her head banged. She took but could not feel it. Now Lucy was expecting that she will find the end of the wardrobe. She will feel the wood of the end of the wardrobe, because the backside of the wardrobe must be made up of wood and the wardrobe will end at a certain point. But she could not feel the end of that backside of that wardrobe. She kept on moving in and she further stepped into the wardrobe. But she could not feel anything. This must be a simply enormous wardrobe, thought Lucy. Now Lucy is thinking, my goodness, there is no end to this wardrobe. I cannot feel the end of the wardrobe. No woody substance is touching my finger. So this wardrobe must be very big, very huge one. Going still further in and pushing the soft folds of the coats aside to make room for her. Now Lucy she was continuously moving. She kept on moving inside. She was putting 2-3 steps again and again in front of her, and she was continuously moving in. But she did not find anything except for the soft folds of the coats that she was feeling, because there were lots of coats all around her, Then she noticed that there was something crunching under her feet. Suddenly she felt that something was crunching under her feet. I wonder, is that more mothballs? Now she is a little girl. Now she thought that there is lots of mothballs under her feet that is crunching and making sound. She thought, stooping down to feel it with her hand. Now she thought to stop and to touch it and feel it whether it is more mothballs under her feet that is crunching or not. But instead of feeling the hard, smooth wood of the floor of the wardrobe, she felt something soft and powdery and extremely cold. But instead of feeling any mothball crunches, pieces of mothballs or the hard woody floor of the wardrobe, what Lucy felt is that some very soft and powdery and extremely cold substance in her hand. This is very queer, she said, and went on a step or two further. Now Lucy was very excited or very curious, and she thought that it must be something very different that she felt in her hand, which is soft and powdery and extremely cold. And she stepped further, little bit more further into the wardrobe. Next moment what happened is that she found herself, what was rubbing against her face and hands was no longer soft fur, but something hard and rough and even prickly. Then what suddenly she started feeling is that the soft furry effect of the coat was now no more over there. What she felt now was quite hard and rough and sometimes even prickly. It was pricking her skin, the face of her skin of her face. Why, it is just like branches of tree, exclaimed Lucy. Now Lucy felt that, oh my God, it is like branches of tree that is touching my face. Now there is no more soft furry coat. And then she saw that there was a light ahead of her. Now she can see a little bit of light in front of her, not a few inches away where the back of the wardrobe ought to have been, but a long way off. Now a wardrobe must be of a certain inches of a diameter in length and breadth, but Lucy found out that after walking quite a distance, quite a few steps forward into the wardrobe, now Lucy felt that there is a light which she can see instead of the back of the wardrobe. Now what happened is that something cold and soft was falling on her. Now after seeing that, observing that light, she also felt that she has come quite far from the door of the wardrobe which she had opened and entered. After that she have walked quite far, and then she can now see the light from the other side, on the other side of the wardrobe. And she can also feel something cold and soft that was falling on her. A moment later, she found that she was standing in the middle of a wood. She was standing in the middle of a wood at night time, with snow under her feet and snowflakes falling through the air. Now, what Lucy found is that she found herself standing in the middle of a wood. In the middle of a wood means wood over here is not just a piece of wood. Here it refers to forest. Lucy found herself standing in the middle of a forest, and that was also a night time, with snow all under her feet and snowflakes falling through the air. That means it was snow falling. Okay. Lucy felt little frightened. Now suddenly when Lucy entered into a wardrobe, and after that she can feel that there is something different over here. The wardrobe is extremely huge in size, and it has no end to it. While she kept on moving from the soft furry coat to the prickly and rough surface, or prickly or rough hard branches of the trees which touched her face, and after that she can see some light and the snowfall and snow all under her feet. And when she further moved forward, she found herself in the middle of the wood, in the middle of the jungle at the night time, all snowflakes under her feet, and snow was also falling around her. Suddenly Lucy will become frightened. Any small or little girl would become, or a child would become. So Lucy felt a little frightened, but she felt very inquisitive and excited as well. Lucy was frightened, no doubt, but she was also very excited and curious as well to know that how it happened. She looked back over her shoulder, and there, between the dark tree trunks, she could still see the open doorway of the wardrobe, and even catch a glimpse of the empty room from which she had set out. Now, when Lucy looked back, she can still see the open door of the wardrobe and little bit of the empty room. She had of course left the door open, for she knew that it is very silly thing to shut oneself into a wardrobe. Now, as I said before, Lucy kept the door of the wardrobe open because it was very silly of her if she would have locked herself inside a wardrobe. It seemed to be still daylight there. Now, from outside the wardrobe, from the jungle or the woody area where Lucy was standing this time, from there, when she looked back inside the wardrobe, it was looking like a daytime, but the place where she came after entering the wardrobe, that place was having a night time. Okay, and when Lucy looked backward, it was looking daytime because there was quite a lots of light over there. I can always get back if anything goes wrong, thought Lucy. Lucy was thinking that no problem, I can see the door of the wardrobe and I can see it has daylight inside the room from here. So, if there will be any problem over here, I can quickly go back into the room through the wardrobe. She began to walk forward. So, with all her courage, despite of getting frightened, with all her courage and curiosity and excitement, Lucy kept on moving forward. Crunch, crunch over the snow and through the wood towards the other light. Now Lucy was moving forward. All the snow and the branches under her feet was crunching and making noise, and towards the light, there was a street light over there. Towards the light she was moving. In about 10 minutes she reached it, and it was about 10 minutes that she took in order to reach the light, and found it was a lamp post. And then she found out that it was a lamp post, not an ordinary light, it was a lamp post. As she stood looking at it, wondering why there was a lamp post in the middle of a wood and wondering what to do next. Now, when Lucy saw the lamp post in the middle, she was quite shocked, or she was very curious to know that why there was a lamp post in the middle of the jungle. And she also wondered what she will do next. She heard a pitter patter of feet coming towards her. Exactly at this time, when she was thinking what to do next, she heard someone's footstep, someone walking towards her. And soon after that, a very strange person stepped out from among the trees into the light of the lamppost. Then Lucy found out a very strange looking person who came out of the wood and stood in front of her under the lamppost. He was only little taller than Lucy herself, and he carried over his head an umbrella. Now, this person was little bit taller than Lucy. Lucy was a little girl, her height was very short, and this person was just a little bit taller than Lucy. Umbrella over his head upward. A weird looking person. His upper body from the waist up is looking like a man, but his lower body from the waist down looks like of a goat. The hair on them was glossy black, and the hair or the fur on this man's lower part of the body has got a glossy black color hair. And instead of feet, he had goat's hoofs. Instead of feet, like we have feet and toes, instead of feet and toes, see, this person or this man has a hoof like goat. How the goat's hoof toe looks, similarly this man also had a goat hoofs like legs. He also had a tail, but Lucy did not notice this at first because it was neatly caught up over the arm that held the umbrella so as to keep it from trailing in the snow. Now, this man also had a tail which was very smartly. Lucy did not saw the tail earlier because this man held the umbrella in one hand, and in that same arm the tail was also held it properly so that it does not trail in the snow under his feet. He had a red woolen muffler around his neck, as you can see in the picture. Red woolen muffler he had around his neck, and his skin was rather reddish too. He had a strange but pleasant little face. His face was quite strange but pleasant. Not very awful and fearful, but it was a weird but pleasant looking face with a short pointed beard and curly hair. This man has a short pointed beard and his hair is curly. And out of the hair there stuck two horns, and out of the hair there were two horns on one on each side of his forehead. Now, one this side and one that side. On his forehead there were two horns on both the sides, one this side and one that side. One of his hands, as I have said, held the umbrella. In the other arm, he carried several brown paper parcels. Now, this man was holding the umbrella in one hand, and his tail was also held nicely on that same hand. But on the other hand, this man was carrying some brown paper parcel. What with the parcel and the snow, it looked just as if he had been doing his Christmas shopping. Now, Lucy felt like all around it was snow, And this man, this weird looking man with the brown paper parcel in his hand, looks quite like as if he has done some of the Christmas shopping. He was a fawn. Now, who was this man? This man was a fawn. Fawn is, according to the Greek story, ancient Greek story, a god of the woods with a man face and a body of a goat's leg and horn is called fawn. And when he saw Lucy, he gave such a start of surprise that he dropped all his parcels. "Goodness gracious me!" exclaimed the fawn. Now, when this man saw Lucy, suddenly, all of a sudden, a different looking man, different looking person, a little girl, he was very much surprised and he dropped all his parcels and shouted, "Goodness gracious me!" exclaimed the fawn. So, this was the story. I hope all of you have understood it. It's a very nice story, only a part of it. It has some more contents which is not given over here. Hopefully, sometime in some other chapter, you will read about this story more. So, I am ending the explanation over here. I hope all of you have liked it. Thank you.